Hey guys, it's Carly. Welcome back to my kitchen. It's been a minute since we've been in it, since we've been spending so much time in the garden. But we're back in the kitchen today because I have a few Monday prep things that need to be done in the kitchen. And I thought that I would take you guys along. So we have some chicken that needs to be marinated and put away. We have some blocks of cheese to shred and put in the freezer. I have a sourdough starter that needs revived very badly, so we're gonna get that out of the fridge, and a couple more things to do to get ready for the week. So come join me and let's get some stuff done. So the first thing we're gonna do is I have some bone-in chicken thighs that I bought yesterday at the store, so they fit in the fridge, but I wanna get them into the freezer for a later date. But before I do that, I do want to throw them in some marinades. So I think I'm going to do one with a little more Asian inspired flavors and one probably just like a good olive oil, lemon, Italian seasoning, something like that. I just like giving them a little kickstart and flavor, and then when I go to cook them, they could simply just be cooked on the grill, and then I don't have to worry about adding any other flavor or oils or anything like that. So I've got 4 packages of thighs. I'll probably do, 2 of them in each kind of marinade, and we'll stick those in the freezer and have some really good meals for a later date. So for our Asian inspired marinade, here's the things I'm using. I have a little bit of lemon juice, maple syrup, Worcestershire sauce, some low sodium soy sauce, or I typically use cocoa aminos if I have it, some toasted sesame oil, some olive oil, salt and pepper, and then some garlic powder. So we're gonna throw all of this into a gallon or quart Ziploc bag, and then we will throw it in the freezer with the chicken thighs. I'm gonna use just a little Pyrex glass measuring cup to stick this in, and they'll be easy to pour into each of the bags. I don't typically measure a lot when I'm doing just a marinade, so we're just gonna eyeball all this, but I'm probably gonna do about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, about probably a tablespoon of this sesame oil, maybe a little less. Then I will do probably maybe a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. And we're going to throw in a little bit of Worcestershire, probably about a tablespoon. Could throw in about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And about a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. And then it would be nice to have minced garlic, but I really don't feel like doing that at the moment. So I'm gonna sprinkle in some garlic powder. And then lastly, just some salt and pepper. Probably just a little bit, like a 1/2 teaspoon pepper. And then a little more than that of salt. And we'll just mix that together. And we'll pour this over the chicken. So I have 4 gallon Ziploc bags. Yes, these are plastic. I would really like to invest in some reusable freezer bags, but I feel like I would have to, I use freezer bags for so many things like meats, the cheese I'm about to shred, frozen fruit, all kinds of things. I would have to buy so many, and I don't know if they're good for meat. So maybe not for meat, maybe for other things, we'll see. But for now, I have plastic, so I just kind of roll them back like this when I'm putting meat into something, and it gives me a nice good base to set the meat down in. And then you don't get as messy or spill things when you're trying to zip it back up. So there's 3 chicken thighs in each of these bags. For my family of 4 with just 2 little ones who don't eat that much, that's a perfect size. But if need be, obviously I could grab 2 of these bags and just have a little bit of leftovers, and that's just fine. So now I'll take 2 of these, and I'll take our marinade mixture that's sitting over here, get it another little spin, and then I'll just pour half of it into each bag. And then we'll wrap this back up, get as much air out of it as possible. Seal it up, and then I just give it a good zhuzh around. And when I store this in the freezer, I like to take the excess and put it under, just so that this stays in a tight little package so that the marinade is incorporating with it as best as it can. So I'll just put it in the freezer like this as a little package. The next marinade, I'm not even gonna bother mixing up in a Pyrex. I'm just gonna pour it straight in, but it's just gonna be some olive oil, some lemon juice, some Italian seasoning, some more of that garlic powder, and then some salt and pepper. And then we'll just mix that up inside the bag. Just like that. So next I'm taking out my trusty food processor, and if you've watched some of my other cooking videos, you'll know that this is definitely one of my favorite tools because it can just do so many things. But I'm gonna put this together because I've been starting to shred my own cheese. So I've been buying it in blocks at the store, and I'm shredding it myself just in order to try to get the least amount of ingredients in our bodies. And I know that pre-shredded cheese has a lot of anti-caking agents and things like that. So I've been trying to shred my own cheese. So far I've just been doing that through my local grocery store, but I do have an order for like big 5-pound blocks of cheese in at Azure right now, and I'm going to be picking that up in a couple weeks. So for now we will do this, but in a few weeks we'll have a lot more to shred. But I've been really enjoying having this in my freezer. I've never frozen cheese before, and I should have been doing that, but I just have some medium cheddar, some sharp cheddar, and some mozzarella here. So I'm just going to throw it in here. It does get a little bit gunky after a while, so you gotta watch out for that, or it might just be because my food processor is pretty old at this point. But I'm just gonna throw it in as is. It's so easy, and then I'm going to put it in little bags. Thankfully, because these have been living in my freezer, I can reuse the bags over and over, and I just label them and pull them out the day of that I need them for dinner. Typically, I'm melting this in like macaroni and cheese that I make in the Instant Pot, or I don't know, some kind of sauce or anything that needs melted cheese. I don't typically use like cold shredded cheese unless it's a Cobb salad or something like that. So it's pretty safe to say that this will be melted somehow. But I found that the thawed shredded cheese thaws pretty nicely and it keeps its shape and it doesn't get all gunky. So I'm happy with this, and I'm gonna shred this up and get it in the freezer, and we'll have that set for the week and probably a lot longer than that. So here we have our 3 bags of cheese. So I'm going to stick that in the freezer, and then we will do a few more things. Okay, so I've had my sourdough starter in the fridge for a while, and it's looking like this right now. So we've been traveling pretty much the whole month of June, and I've really not been on my sourdough game, but I do want to revive it. I want to get some bread going this week, and we've also been wanting to have some pizza, and I want to make pizza dough. So I have it in this weck jar. I really do love this weck jar. It's nice and tightly closed, but if you can see, there's a line of what looks kind of like purple liquid in here. And that's, I'm pretty sure it's what you call hooch. It's like an alcohol solution. So sometimes people mix this back in. That feels weird to me. So I just go pour it out in the sink, and then I will revive this with a little more flour and water for a couple of days. And then that will get it all bubbly and good again. And then I can start using it for some baking. So let me go do that real quick. So I don't measure. I follow Lisa at Farmhouse on Food, and her style is just mix it in equal parts until you get a good consistency, kind of like pancake batter. So that's her philosophy, so it's my philosophy too. So I'm just gonna add a bit of flour into here. And I didn't really discard much because I only have this much, and I'm gonna keep discarding it for the next couple days. It won't be too bubbly right now, so I'm not worried about it bubbling over. So I'm just gonna mix in a bit of water, and then using my spatula, just mix that together until I get the right, pretty thick consistency. Pancake batter is the ideal type, but see, that's still a bit sticky. I want it to be a little more liquid than that. So all I'm gonna do is mix this together and let it sit out on the counter. And then I will discard about half of this tomorrow in about 24 hours, and I will add more flour and water and do that until it starts to bubble again and looks like it's a healthy starter, and then I will feel like I can bake with it again. But I've done this a few times. I've had this starter in the fridge a few times for a month, 2 months sometimes, especially when I first started and wasn't using it regularly enough, and it's come back perfectly fine every time. So I've been very happy with that. So it's looking a bit like that now, and that looks good to me. So I will set this aside and then do the same thing tomorrow. So next on the list, I'm going to prep some chicken for dinner. I have these drumsticks, and my favorite way to do drumsticks is on the grill and simply with just some olive oil and some salt and pepper. Olive oil, salt and pepper on some crispy skin is what tastes best to me, and I don't need all the other kinds of flavors. I know there's so many good drumstick and wing sauces that you can put on, but doing it simply just like this is my favorite way. So I have these nice sized drumsticks that I'm just gonna put in a glass dish. I will drizzle the olive oil and put the salt and pepper on top of them, and then I will just cover them with some wrap and stick them in the fridge until we're ready to grill. It's about 3:30 right now, so they'll only be in the fridge about 2 hours. I do need to come up with a side for tonight. I don't have produce coming in from the garden just yet, but I'm so close. So hopefully, maybe in a week or so, all of my side dishes are gonna come straight from the garden. But for now, we're just waiting patiently. All right, got all that chicken in, and now we will drizzle our oil, salt, and pepper on top of it. Last but not least, I'm gonna throw some watermelon into the freezer. I saw a reel on Instagram about making watermelon sorbet with lime and honey, and it looked so good. And that sounds really refreshing right now. And of course, since we're in the throes of summer, this cut up watermelon at the grocery store was BOGO. So I picked up 2 because I knew I wanted to make some refreshing treats. So I'm gonna pop this in the freezer so that when we blend it up, it'll be nice and creamy and turn into a sorbet. And I've also been really wanting to make some popsicles for the kids. So I'm thinking of adding some mint from the garden because we have a lot of mint going on. I love mint with watermelon. And I've also been wanting to make a watermelon feta and mint salad. That is super good. Maybe I'll do that tonight along with the chicken. That sounds really good. So I'm gonna pop this in here. We're gonna make it into some sorbet and some popsicles, and I think the kids will be really happy about that. Thank you for joining me in the kitchen today. We didn't do any cooking, but we did do a few little things that were just going to help us for the week ahead, a little bit of meal prep and ways that we can have some delicious food and treats for the rest of the summer. So I'm happy we did those things. It only took a little bit of time, but it's just that kind of thing that you need to carve out time for every once in a while. So thank you again for joining. I hope you'll subscribe. We have a lot more fruit preserving. I have some blueberry picking and some peach picking coming up that I'm really excited for, and I'm going to be preserving those a few different ways for the first time. And we have just a lot more coming up in the kitchen as the garden comes in and we get some harvests. So please consider subscribing, and I will see you next time. Bye.